A young woman's bright future turned into a tragic nightmare, all because of a chilling love triangle. This is the case of Kada Scott. Kada Scott was only 23, but her life was already filled with promise. A compassionate caregiver by day and an aspiring beauty queen by night, she worked tirelessly toward her dreams. Those who knew her described her as someone who would light up any room, full of hope, ambition, and a desire to help others. But behind the facade of her bright future, Kada found herself entangled in a web of emotions she couldn't escape, a love triangle that would ultimately end her life. The truth behind Kada's murder will shock you. Investigators uncovered a series of chilling text messages that would reveal the dark side of love and jealousy. These texts are more than just words. They're the key to understanding what led to her tragic end. Before we dive deeper into this heart-wrenching case, make sure to like this video, subscribe to True Crime Records, and comment below where you're watching from. Stay tuned till the end for the stunning revelation of how this love triangle led to a devastating conclusion. Have you ever witnessed a relationship where love and jealousy twisted things beyond repair? What would you do if you saw someone close to you in a similar situation? Type your thoughts in the comments section below. Kada Scott, at just 23 years old, had a life full of promise. She was a woman of many ambitions, balancing a demanding job as a caregiver at the Terrace at Chestnut Hill, an assisted living facility, with her dream of competing in the Miss Pennsylvania USA pageant. Her journey was one of hard work and dedication, as she constantly strove to be her best. Those close to her saw her as someone who was always striving for greatness, both for herself and for the people she cared for. Kada was known for her warmth and kindness, a quality that made her beloved in her community. As a caregiver, she was the kind of person who made her patients feel truly cared for, always going above and beyond to ensure their well-being. Her dedication didn't stop with her job. Kada was a source of positivity for her friends and family, and they described her as a beacon of light in their lives. Her infectious smile and uplifting spirit had a way of making even the toughest days feel brighter. However, in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Kada's life started to take a darker turn. She began receiving harassing phone calls that left her feeling uneasy. The calls were relentless, with an unknown person on the other end, often taunting her with threatening words. These disturbing interactions soon became a constant source of stress for Kada, and she didn't hesitate to confide in her family about what was happening. Her parents, Kevin and Donna Scott, grew increasingly worried for her safety, but they never anticipated the tragedy that was about to unfold. On the evening of October 4, 2025, Kada went to work her scheduled overnight shift at the Terrace at Chestnut Hill. What seemed like a typical night turned out to be anything but. Just 30 minutes after her arrival, Kada mysteriously left the facility, leaving behind her personal belongings, including her phone and keys. A coworker, who saw her just before she left, reported that Kada appeared visibly distressed, even approaching a parked SUV with an anxious demeanor. That would be the last time anyone would see her. For nearly 2 weeks, authorities and Kada's family scoured the city, desperate to find any trace of her. Flyers with her photo were plastered on street corners, and search parties combed through neighborhoods hoping for a breakthrough. As the days stretched on without any solid leads, hope began to fade. Her family was left in a state of constant anxiety, praying for her safe return while grappling with the fear that something terrible had happened. Law enforcement worked tirelessly, determined to bring answers to a family already living in uncertainty. On October 18, 2025, a breakthrough came, but it wasn't the one anyone had hoped for. An anonymous tip led investigators to a wooded area behind the abandoned Ada H. Lewis Middle School in East Germantown, Philadelphia. There, in a shallow grave, they uncovered human remains. DNA testing later confirmed that the body belonged to Kada Scott. The discovery was heart-wrenching, but it also marked the beginning of unraveling the dark truth behind her disappearance. As the investigation progressed, authorities reviewed phone records and discovered a troubling series of text messages between Kada and a man named Keon King. One message, sent just hours before her death, sent chills through investigators. Kidnap me again. It was a disturbing line, seemingly casual but carrying an ominous weight when viewed in hindsight. Was this a playful reference between them, or was it a cryptic message that hinted at the danger she was in? The investigators couldn't ignore the possibility that Kada had known her life was in peril. The message left many unanswered questions. Who was she referring to? What had really happened in the days leading up to her disappearance? As detectives pieced together the evidence, it became clear that this was no ordinary case. The phone messages raised more questions than answers. Was this just a cruel joke, or something far darker? As the investigation progressed, more pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, but the real story was only just beginning to emerge. The truth about what happened to Kada Scott would turn out to be even more shocking than anyone could have imagined. Have you ever feared for someone's safety but didn't act until it was too late? What would you do differently if you were in this situation? We often think we have more time, but sometimes we don't realize the danger until it's too late. Think about it and share your thoughts in the comments below. Keon King, a 21-year-old with a troubling past, was no stranger to controversy. Known to have been involved in prior legal issues, including a separate kidnapping case earlier in the year, King's history raised alarms when he became a suspect in Kada's disappearance. His relationship with Kada had been one of complicated emotions, with evidence showing they had communicated frequently in the days leading up to her tragic fate. Though it wasn't immediately clear what role he played, the evidence pointed to him as a central figure in her disappearance. After a thorough investigation, Keon King was arrested and charged with a range of offenses, including kidnapping, arson, and evidence tampering. The arrest came after authorities connected him to Kada through the disturbing text messages and surveillance footage. The charges suggested that King's involvement was far from incidental. As investigators pieced together the timeline of events, they uncovered more evidence that painted a disturbing picture of what transpired. King's arrest was a significant step forward in the case, but the mystery surrounding his motives and his actions remained. As the investigation continued, new video footage emerged, showing a second person near the scene where Kada was last seen. This raised the possibility that more than one person might have been involved in her disappearance and subsequent murder. The question now loomed: who else could be responsible? Could there be someone else pulling the strings behind the scenes? The discovery of the second potential suspect deepened the mystery, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. With King in custody and the new evidence pointing to an accomplice, the case was beginning to take unexpected turns. Could this be the beginning of the end for Kada's case, or was there more to uncover? The deeper authorities delved into King's background and the circumstances surrounding Kada's death, the more complex the case became. As new developments unfolded, it became clear that the full truth had yet to be revealed. What do you think is going through Keon King's mind? Can someone really be capable of such a heinous act? When we look at someone like King, it's hard to imagine how a person could end up making choices that lead to such devastating consequences. What are your thoughts on his involvement? Share your opinions in the comments below. Keon King remains in custody, his bail set at $2.5 million. Despite the serious charges against him, including kidnapping and evidence tampering, homicide charges have not been filed yet. Authorities are still awaiting the results of the medical examiner's investigation to determine the exact cause of death. The delay in filing these charges has left many wondering why the process is taking longer than expected. For Kada's family, it's a painful waiting game. They demand accountability, but the system's pace has only added to their grief. King's criminal history only complicates the case further. Earlier in the year, he was involved in another kidnapping case, but charges were dropped due to a witness's absence in court. This legal failure to hold him accountable raised serious concerns about the justice system's handling of repeat offenders. If King had been prosecuted for the earlier crime, would Kada's fate have been different? This question looms over the case, as it highlights the gaps in the legal system that may have allowed him to continue his dangerous behavior. Kada's death has left an indelible mark on the Philadelphia community. Vigils, memorials, and tributes have been held in her honor, with family, friends, and even strangers coming together to remember her vibrant life. In the face of this tragedy, Kada's family has been unwavering in their demand for justice. They have spoken out publicly, calling for the legal system to hold those responsible accountable. Their pain is matched only by their determination to ensure that Kada's story is not forgotten and that others may be spared from similar fates. In addition to their fight for justice, Kada's family has worked to raise awareness about violence and the importance of community vigilance. They've used this tragedy as an opportunity to advocate for stronger protections for women and a more responsive legal system. Their commitment to bringing about change in Kada's memory has inspired many others to take action, making sure her legacy lives on beyond her untimely death. This case serves as a stark reminder of how precious life is and how quickly it can be taken away. Kada was full of promise, and her life was brutally cut short by someone she trusted. Her death calls on us all to reflect on the value of human life and the need for justice. Let's honor Kada by continuing to demand justice for her and others who have suffered at the hands of violence. What do you think should happen to repeat offenders like Keon King? Should the justice system do more to prevent such tragedies? Comment below with your thoughts. Kada's tragic death serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of community vigilance. This case highlights how easily a seemingly innocent relationship can turn toxic, leading to devastating consequences. It underscores the need for everyone to stay alert, especially when there are signs of distress or potential danger. Communities must work together to ensure that no one is left to suffer in silence, and that warning signs are recognized before it's too late. This tragedy is a call to action for us all to take relationships and their dynamics seriously, and to never ignore red flags. What started as a seemingly normal relationship soon spiraled into something deadly. This case is a stark illustration of how quickly an unhealthy situation can escalate into violence. The text messages, the harassing calls, and the distressing behavior leading up to Kada's disappearance all point to a cycle of manipulation and control. It serves as a wake-up call that we must be aware of the warning signs of violence, even in the most unsuspecting circumstances. It's crucial that society becomes more proactive in addressing toxic relationships before they escalate into something far worse. Looking back, it's clear that there were opportunities to intervene earlier. The harassing phone calls Kada received were a red flag, and yet, the response wasn't swift enough to prevent the tragedy that followed. Authorities may have been able to act sooner, and perhaps a more immediate response could have saved Kada's life. The question remains, could this have been prevented if more had been done to protect her? This tragedy highlights the critical need for faster, more decisive action in cases where someone is clearly at risk. Have you ever witnessed or suspected abuse in a relationship? What could have been done to stop it before it escalated? It's often hard to know when and how to intervene. But the truth is, sometimes our actions, or lack thereof, can make all the difference. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. The case of Kada Scott continues to unfold, and the pursuit of justice for her family remains at the forefront. Though Keon King has been arrested, many questions remain unanswered. As the investigation progresses, the hope is that those responsible will be held accountable, bringing closure to a community devastated by this senseless loss. Stay tuned for our next video, where we uncover a similar case with an even more shocking twist. You won't want to miss it. The truth behind these tragic events will leave you speechless. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to stay updated on the latest developments. Your support makes a difference in ensuring these stories are told and justice is pursued.